Hello, and thank you so much for joining us for your Ring of Honor post show for Thursday, October 26th. We are full on spooky season. It's getting pretty spooky not having any champs on our product over here, Reg, but we've got some Ring of Honor to talk about tonight, guys. We'll ask you to get in your super chats, not your humper chats, because I'm the only facilitator today, and I don't have access to those. So please, to get your question or statement read on air, we welcome what you have to say, but let's do it in super chat form tonight. We also ask you to leave a thumbs up on this video and to subscribe to Fightful Select, where there's so much going on. You're finding out the very anticlimactic news about where SummerSlam is going to be, but there's exciting stuff going on up there. Some 2024 contract news. I'm sure CM Punk will breathe again and we'll get an update, you know, all sorts of kind of things. TNA is back. What is happening in the world of wrestling, Reg? My goodness. But today we're talking some ROH. There is no Impact post show on the backside of this because there is a clip show that they're running, which, well, I'm sure is going to be very entertaining as we are saying goodbye to the Impact era, back to the TNA era. Not a lot to comment on from Joel and Crusta's perspective. So we're flying with us tonight. But Reg, you said before we went on, this is kind of like a filler episode a little bit here. You might have used the phrase waste of time, but
throwing me right under the bus to start this. I see what's going on here.
I was going to let it slide, and I was like, let's come in hot on it. Let's come in hot on it because you know why? I felt like I got deceived, Reg. I felt like we were going to get Final Battle at Hammerstein Ballroom. It felt like we were headed that way. We were hearing all about this pay-per-view. Not mad about World's End. Seems like it's going to be cool, but you hurt me, okay? You told me in as many words that Ring of Honor was coming back, Tony Khan. That's what you told me. And when I say you told me, I mean I made up in my brain and worked myself into. But then you took it away and you put it in Texas, where I'm not going. So I'm now going to throw you under the bus and tell you it was a waste of time tonight, huh?
Agreed. I kind of feel like Joel and Crusta with the Impact show of what are we going to comment on this show? This felt like a clip show too.
This kind of did feel like a clip show. But we did get some really good movement in the driving force of this with Billie, Starkz, and Athena. A couple of other stories continuing to build, but overall, this did feel pretty filler. We'll see how these go. I mean, it's a little tricky because it feels like just when we get our footing, something gets kind of set back. Like it feels like we get some really good story development and then things get set back. We saw, I feel like every main event is the Embassy, but what tag titles? Like this gets a little bit tricky. So we're going to dive into all of it. But overall, we've got Final Battle happening in a little bit. I feel like we're making baby steps. I feel like the biggest progress we could make would be to have a lot of these titles change hands into ROH talent at Final Battle. I feel like they could be setting up to do that. They're including this pay-per-view in the Price of Honor Club, right? It does mean a lot to have the Hung Bucks dropping those titles instead of, the Embassy, because there are ties to ROH and their marquee name. So things like that, if they make those switches, I think we could be in a really healthy place by the end of the year. But right now, it kind of feels like we're buying time a little bit. What are your thoughts on where we might be headed in the next couple months?
Listen, I came on this podcast and I said, we're back, baby. ROH is on our way.
We say it every 3 weeks.
And I was lying, I think. I was lying. Was I lying that day? Was I high that day? I definitely was high that day. I could have been high that day. I definitely was high that day. But look.
If you lie every time that you're high, you've never told the truth on the show.
I haven't told the truth ever.
In years.
Any podcast you guys ever heard, I've been lying. No, but Kate, there's some interesting developments on this show. There's still some interesting things happening on Ring of Honor, but this episode was just here's some matches for you guys. Here's some familiar characters. We'll see you next week.
Right. And then, I think it's inexcusable to not have Josh Woods in action all the time on every episode. But we didn't have him, right? We didn't have Ethan Page. Like we did have some kind of usual standbys that we've been seeing those stories develop with, which in some ways is good because I don't like things being shoved down your throat to the point where they get burnt out. But when you've had no real stories for a long time, I'm kind of hungry for those. So hopefully they work their way back in. But tonight was kind of more of a sampler platter kind of situation. But we do start strong. I will say that. We do have this story building between, he calls himself Angelico, so I'm going to stop pretending I know how to speak Spanish as a white girl and stop saying Angelico, because I guess it's Angelico, so
Jake, that was the biggest takeaway from this episode is that promo at the beginning of him saying Angelico. I'm like, yo, the mystery has been solved. There's no more Angelico. He himself says Angelico, so we're going to call him Angelico.
There you go. If Janae Kai or Janai Kai could tighten that up for me, I'd be forever thankful, because I feel like I've never had clarity around that, and I would love to get her name right because she's an outstanding talent and I like talking about her. Like to be respectful of the process, but Angelico, I don't have to pretend that I'm anything other than a dumb white American about this. But he's got this opening promo saying that Eddie took advantage of Serpentico and that is not like championship material and that they've been friends, but he did wrong by Serpentico with that. And I kind of liked that. It's an additional context to, hey, you have the title, which is usually how Ring of Honor things go, right? But I'm glad that we're continuing to build this, and I'm glad that it feels like Eddie Kingston is a champion and that there's stories building toward his defenses, and hopefully we're going to see more and more of that, right? You got Ethan Page coming for him. Spoiler alert, if you don't like Rampage spoilers, plug your ears right now. You get 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mark Briscoe returned at Rampage.
Boom. Yep.
So whether he's going to go for Samoa Joe or he might be going for Eddie Kingston for the world title, which is kind of where we left off. There was like a nice little relationship with them that you could tap back into. I like that it feels like Eddie Kingston has a little bit more of a stake on the show than Claudio had. And we do get our opening match with him here, and he wins with the reverse figure 4, which looked good against Metalik. I really liked the spot where he had a double leg submission locked in and Metalik got to the ropes and comes back with that. He's got such a great sling blade bulldog, looked so good. Get the rope walk drop kick. Say that 10 times fast. Before
Just
hitting a step up
fast.
senton. Yeah, don't ever. But a good opener, a short opener.
Yeah.
Right guy won. This made sense, but one of the more refreshing things to see on the program, because there was a reason for it, right? We're building some wins, and a good opener to start. Angelico, not Angelico, so smooth in the ring. Nice to see him getting consistent reps here.
Listen, Angelico, that's his name. He said it, and we're gonna wear it out. Now, this is I agree with what you're saying here. I like him adding a little bit of context to the story of like, I want to beat him for the championship, but this is also the reason that I want to get revenge on Eddie Kingston. He disrespected my friend. Now I'm gonna disrespect him. Just adding a little bit more character to Angelico, because we haven't really seen much of his background in AEW or ROH as a whole. So them kind of adding some more to him makes it good. And then putting him again in there with more luchadors that are awesome, that he's going to base great for, that he's also going to get great offense against. I think it's awesome. So I'm really looking forward to the Eddie Kingston match. I don't know if that's the final battle match or if they're going to have it before then, but some interesting developments.
Definitely. And Amish Electrician pointing this out. I was trying to remember what might have I was like, something threw off the taping schedule, and this might have had something to do with it, with Battle of the Belts being taped on Saturday. I kept trying to be like, what was it that threw this off? I couldn't remember, because they don't really do much with Battle of the Belts, so why am I going to remember what happens on Battle of the Belts? But that makes sense. I'm sure that comes into play here. But I will say, there's a lot of times that things come into play here, right? There's a lot of pay-per-views now. There's a lot of Battle of the Belt situations. So if they're going to have some consistent footing and they're going to let these things keep cropping up, like, they've got to get a handle on that so we're not getting filler episodes, because we're headed toward a lot more pay-per-views, right? So we can't do that every time there's like a go-home situation or whatever. Like, we got to...
Because it seems like that at this point, AEW is doing monthly pay-per-views now, so you got to figure out the schedule, because this is going to happen every month.
Exactly. So we can't let it get derailed in that way. I'll say that is a pain point of reviewing WWE stuff is because they have a pay-per-view every month, that means you're getting a go-home show once a month. And I'll tell anybody here, like, if you're nerdy enough to be listening to an ROH podcast, and I wear that as a badge of honor, you're nerdy enough to understand that go-home shows feel different than the rest of your regular programming. So it does feel kind of annoying when it's like, man, 25% of your shows are go-homes. That gets tricky. It gets tricky with programming.
Right. So. Even you just saying that out loud, I was like, man, that's a lot.
It is.
So, a lot of focused writing, you know what I mean? Like Tony Khan has to really focus in while booking Collision, while booking Dynamite, while booking ROH. He's going to have an ROH and AEW pay-per-view 2 weeks apart at this point. So, time to kick into high gear.
It is a lot, and it's also not a problem that's solvable because you don't want to put your creative or your talent in physical stress like before one. So something they got to figure out how to work with because you can't really combat it.
Right.
I'll tell you what else can't be combated here. All right. Shawn Dean is out here looking jacked on social media. All right. Captain Jacked is what I was calling him online. He is putting in the work in the gym, looking fresh, looking great out here. Infantry looks good with Trish Adora. We had 3 women's matches tonight. She wasn't in them. I don't know why. Let's get this woman some W's. But right here, a very quick match against the Hughes brothers. Sounds like the Bruise brothers, but Terrell and Terrence. They get some quick early offense in, but ultimately the Infantry hitting the boot camp for the win. And it was a quick one, but nice to see the Infantry being kept strong. They're clearly trying to combat my conspiracy theory. There's no other explanation for the fact that they would be getting a couple more W's other than the fact that I called it out and then all of a sudden they're winning again. Like just further down the rabbit hole I go. But Infantry getting a W here. Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, super fun match. Shout out to Terrence and Terrell, double young Devon Dudley, the twins of the Hall of Fame legendary Devon Dudley are back on AEW and Ring of Honor TV. And I thought they looked good. They looked even better than the last time they were here on TV. But great to see the Infantry doing their thing. I was weird when they had that singles match last week. I'm like, they're a tag team. Keep the momentum going. They got back to it. They got Trish Adora. Everything you love about the Infantry is here. I love their finish. I love their intensity. They are in line for wherever those Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships are at.
I agree. Wherever they might be hiding, and somewhere in Long Island with MJF's parents, I don't know. Adam, maybe in Roderick Strong might have them for all I know. I have no idea. But Peter Orma says, Kate, I'm smoking Portobello's Reg. Different plant.
The smoking, yes. Double smoker. I like it.
I am plant-based, but I respect your commitment to the meat game. But hey, if you're going to be kind to animals today, I'm not going to argue. I like it. I like it. But we move on to the guy that you always go to if you don't have any stakes in your program. And you go to Dalton Castle because who's going to keep the crowd more entertained and attached than this guy? Against Anthony Henry in what I thought was a really fun match. Way more so than I thought it had any right to be. Dalton Castle winning with the bangerang here. But Anthony Henry just out there doing some strong boy stuff. I loved when they were running around the ring and he just hit that running leg lariat. I was like, damn, he hit so hard. But really, really fun. Dalton's personality with kind of who Anthony Henry is such a nice contrast, both stylistically in the ring and from a character perspective. How do you not love Dalton Castle being on your television? Him getting a W, him continuing to look strong. Again, this felt more of a filler episode, but at least the people that you want to keep winning were the ones that were consistently getting some W's here.
Yeah. Anthony Henry, like I said a couple of weeks ago, every time he's in a match, it feels like a fight. And him bringing, like you said, Dalton Castle into that element, I think is really fun. While Dalton Castle still is Dalton Castle, still working the camera, still working the crowd, still doing the character work. I think him in situations like this is great. We need to see more of Dalton Castle. He's one of the few wrestlers here in Ring of Honor that tries to make any of his moments important. When he has his promos, he's like, watch me, I'm important. I'm trying to do something important. I want to win a championship. I'm here for a reason. Like even in like an episode like this, he makes it feel like something more. And he needs to be rewarded for it. If he's the one to beat Joe, he's the one that faced Eddie Kingston. I don't know. He needs to have something because he's bringing some kind of importance to this.
I agree with you. And that's kind of the trickier thing right now is I think you get the idea that Dalton Castle is important, but you don't know what path he's on. So that's where it gets a little trickier. Like, that is a top guy. What is he doing next and where is he going is something that's still very ambiguous. But he is so impressive. Like you said, even I think it was 2 weeks ago now, he had that promo where he was in a white t-shirt and he was just talking about like, man, this has been, he kind of said what we're saying, like, it's been a little bit mid. I got to give the people what they want. This is my responsibility. Like, I just love him shouldering all that as like a personal quest of his. He's just the best. We love Dalton. So we don't get Josh Woods in action, which is a high sin, like a high level sin in my opinion, because that guy should be wrestling. But we do get him backstage with Mark Sterling, Lexi Nair, and Tony Nese. Mark Sterling blew off Nese's loss to Samoa Joe on Battle of the Belts, and then is bragging about his charges. And is this from last week? Or was Ethan Page on this too?
Ethan Page walks in and confronts him because we had the card. And you guys I've been calling you.
This is how much of a filler episode it was. I thought this was my notes from last week. Ethan Page comes in on the left. He's wondering why Sterling hasn't returned any of his calls. And Page asked Nese if he was proud about how he cheated to win before Woods got in his face. So where I was thinking this was going to be an Ethan Page heel turn, it feels like maybe he's a face on this side of things at least. I don't know how much I love him being mixed up in all of this.
Yeah.
I'm here for Ethan Page versus Josh Woods for sure. But this feels like continuity continuing with Mark and Tony Nese. But if it gets me to Ethan Page versus Josh Woods, I will not be complaining.
It kind of made Ethan Page look like a little bit of a dork because he was like, no, Mark Sterling, leave me alone. They used him to trick him and got a victory over him. And he's like, I've been calling you guys trying to get on the team. And they're like, dude, we're done with you. We used you. We got what we needed out of you. And he's like, please give me another match. And they're like, well, we'll let Josh Woods beat you up next week. And he's like, cool. Seems a little bit weird, but I understand. I think where they're going, and more Ethan Page and more Josh Woods on my TV. I'm with it.
I agree wholeheartedly. And that was from this week and not last week. So I'm just glad my notes were right. How about that? Well, we are flying through this because there isn't a ton to say, but we do appreciate your support. We got Meet Norma saying 3 women's matches. That is something that ROH is great with, is screen time for women. 3 women's matches in an hour and 20 minutes. Who knew? Athena needs to drop the belt and get to Dynamite, where she should run things in 2024.
Agreed.
Does feel like we might be headed that way a little bit. Does feel like we might be headed that way a bit, because we do see, this is my favorite part of the episode, I think, some nice progression with this storyline. And I said it before, I'll say it again. When your losers leave with a massive development in their character or story, nobody really loses in wrestling. And that is what happened here, in my opinion. Really nice end to this match. You got Starkz and Athena setting up for the double superplex, but Mercedes Martinez powerbombing Athena out of the corner. Martinez and Diamante then hitting the street sweeper on Starkz for the win. What I loved about this is I felt like this is where the story was going, and I was still surprised that Athena and Starkz lost. Even though I kind of knew it was heading there, because we have not seen Athena on the losing side at all. Now, she's still undefeated in singles competition, which is important, but it did the job of making me buy in to be shocked by the fact that she was on the losing side of something. And then she's just ballistic at Billie Starkz in this backstage later. Billie is being interviewed by Lexi. Of course, the Minion's in training, and Billie's just distraught here, but Athena just going off on Starkz, noting that it's the first loss. I loved what she was saying about you could be some 18-year-old sensation that's just losing all the time on a different program. Like, that was some nice ROH pride and a point of like, wow, you can be a young sensation, but not really get anywhere when you're a young sensation. You're paired with this gold-having dominant champion, and this is what you're doing. Really, really trying to get her act together here. I loved all of this. This was the highlight of the episode for me. Loved the match. Loved Diamante and Martinez coming out with the W here, and I loved this promo so much. Athena, MVP always. What did you think of everything we got here? Also liked that it was a tornado tag match, because Lord knows they don't always instill their their rules anyway. At least tell me there's not going to be any,
Yes, exactly. I thought this was strong work all around. Everybody's really doing exceptional work in this angle. Diamante and Mercedes Martinez, not for nothing, are playing great heels on the other side, especially kind of counteracting what Billie Starkz is doing. And it in turn is making Athena more pissed off, which I think is great for her character because she's been playing this really nice babyface role, showing Billie Starkz the way, the ropes, and all of this. But on this other side, like, look, she suffered a loss. Like, there's things going on that are affecting her brand, and she doesn't take kindly to that. And I think that's going to play a big role here. Gets a big win for Diamante and Mercedes and establishes them as some badass characters like they already are. This is great work all around. I love in the match that Billie Starkz is showing some aggression, but she's still a young little girl and trying to celebrate. And Athena's like, get it together, dude. Like, why are you doing this? We got to win this match. And in the end, that kind of cost him the match. A lot of great character work. If we can praise something about this show, it's this. It's what's been going on with Athena for the entire year. Billie Starkz has been great in her character work. I think all of this is just really strong. This needs to be present. To put this in the main event, like, these shows have the weirdest main events, Kate. We talk about it often, but it's always like, okay, there's this match that probably should have been in the main event, but you like just throw one on. So I don't know. I don't understand, but this stuff was great.
It is very weird when you also know that they have time to edit it. Like, it's, you should be able to sequence your card anyway, but if it's a thing
Any
of
way
like,
you want.
Oh, we want people to stay, so we want to open with it, but it feels like a main event, like that I understand from the live challenge that you have, but you can just go back and edit this. You do it with Rampage all the time.
We can watch these matches in any order. I don't know when you film these.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So we move on to Kyle Fletcher and Willie Mack, and some love from Kyle Fletcher from Matthew Hooks. Well-deserved. Said, would love to see Kyle Fletcher hold singles gold. Commentary doing an excellent job putting Kyle Fletcher over as well. Loved them talking about the tag gold that he's held in New Japan. Love the story of him not quite getting it done without his tag partner. He's had a lot of singles losses, even though they've been against the best talent in the world. Him getting the W here in a really great match. I felt like him and Willie Mack just had awesome chemistry.
Yeah.
This ends with Fletcher hitting a second leg lariat to the back of Willie Mack's head. So great because he then goes for the tombstone for the win. I love those like combination finishers when you're a smaller guy like Kyle Fletcher is, because it's like he took a blow before he took the tombstone. Like, it just adds that layer of believability of like that Willie Mack was doing one of these and he just kind of went for the knockout on it. I love nuances like that. Kyle Fletcher has those all over the place. Incredibly strong for a guy of his stature and age. His suplexes are ridiculous at this point. There was a really incredible head scissors into Shining Wizards for a near fall in this. Willie Mack, great. We know what he can do. He's incredible, but I've just really liked the fact that they're still continuing to showcase Kyle Fletcher while Mark Davis is out, because he's just a fantastic wrestler under the Aussie Open umbrella. Will Ospreay, also not a bad wrestler, I hear. This has been a heck of a showcase for Kyle Fletcher. It continues here, and nice to see him get a win.
Yeah, he had a pretty nice promo earlier in the show too, where he talked about getting the opportunities of Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega, but not being able to execute, adding on to his character work. He has been, I mean, he keeps getting put in these positions, unfortunately, with Mark Davis suffering these very unfortunate injuries, but every time he's given a chance to shine, Kyle Fletcher has done it. And this right here, we're locked into, he's on to something right now. He's having matches with the best in the world. And Willie Mack, I also consider best in the world, but he's not, you know, put in the positions that those others are. But still, look what happened here.
He's in the best ever conversation yet.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
Like a Bryan Danielson or an Omega is correct.
Right, but he's still amazing wrestler, and it shows right here. Kyle Fletcher can go with anybody. He's going to have a great match with anybody. And Willie Mack is just like that too. I think like he has chemistry with so many wrestlers that it's like not even surprising. Like, yeah, of course he's going to work with Kyle Fletcher. He's a good wrestler. They're great wrestlers. They work together. They do these great stuff. Willie Mack is always a surprise because there's still not a lot of people that know him. So when you see him, this is classic Willie Mack. When you see his entrance, you're like, okay, this is interesting. He has like a cool vibe. I don't really know what he's going to do. But then when he starts doing it, the crowd always gets behind him. He's one of those, like, no matter what, at the end of a match, you're going to be like, wow, who's that guy? What is he doing? He's different. So yeah, just more Willie Mack. Seeing both of these guys here was great.
His offense is so explosive, and I know everybody kind of says like his athleticism and the way he moves for his size always seem like, like a feat of physics. Like those things shouldn't be able to go together. I feel that way about JD Drake. Like,
yes,
where you're like, I don't even physically understand how you move like that for your stature. But he has obviously such a big personality. But what I love in stuff like this is, to your point, he has chemistry with everybody, and I think that versatility of being a strong dude who can slow matches down and do some big boy stuff, or kind of sneaky explode some offense. It makes him able to work with anyone, because he can ramp it up or slow it down whenever, however you need to. Really, really good stuff from Willie Mack in here as well. But a Kyle Fletcher showcase for sure. But great work from both fellas. Guys, get in your super chats if you would be so kind. There's a lot more of you now than there were earlier, because we had an early start because this was a short episode. So a reminder, if you could be so kind to subscribe to Fightful YouTube and to leave a thumbs up on this video. That is always so helpful for the little review show that could. ROH and Impact doesn't always get like the most amount of love because we are tucked away behind a paywall, but not the Fightful paywall. ROH is behind a paywall. We are here for you on the main every Thursday, kicking it and rocking and rolling over here.
Yep.
Next up, we have the Reg match of the night. We've got our four-corner survival match with Gravity defeating Slim J, Gringo Loco, who looked so good in this, and Blake Christian. Very, very fun difference maker. Not my favorite of the booking, I would say. Gravity breaking up Blake Christian's pin with that top rope splash for the W. He probably would, and he's looked much better of late, so I don't want to be disparaging in any way under any circumstances, but especially when someone I think has been growing and improving. I would have much more preferred to see like Gringo Loco or Blake Christian with a W here. Slim J, underrated as hell. Like, I'm continually surprised by how great he is, because his character is so gimmicky. And I know that every time he gets in the ring, but he always does something that just surprises me. And here it was the awareness of the way he was navigating a 4-person match with guys with very different styles. Seeing that all come together and seeing him just kind of pick and choose his spots to be able to add his flavor to this match. I just thought it was an outstanding job, and very just veteran awareness about how to kind of weave all of this together a little bit in what I saw from him. But Gravity getting the win here, stealing it. What were your thoughts? This is what we would in the industry call Reg's shit. So.
Spot Fu showcase, Spot Fu international incidents. No, I thought this was what it was supposed to be. Supposed to be 4 guys going out there and doing exactly this. I thought this was one of Gravity's stronger showings, and shows exactly why some of these luchadors need to be showcased with somebody who can base for luchadors. That's why the base god Gringo Loco being here. I thought Gravity, like, sometimes his timing and his spacing and the way that he lands and works feels a little bit off, because the other guy's not so used to wrestling a luchador and guys that do stuff like this. And Gringo Loco and Blake Christian and Slim J, these are guys that have been in these positions. So Gravity's, all his shit looked great today. They get into some super spot food with 450s and splashes and all this at one point, and I thought everybody looked strong. Gringo Loco, does he have a tier contract? I want to know what's going on. He's been pretty strongly showcased on a lot of these Ring of Honor shows, and I think he's just a great wrestler. So I want to know exactly what's going on here, but this is fun. Spot Fu, we need more of this. This could have been longer for this short episode. Have them flip for 5 more minutes because I'm here watching.
There you go. Not enough Spot Fu for Reg, but a solid match nonetheless. Also, shout out to Caprice Coleman, who on commentary said that white boy is crazy.
It's a fact.
Gringo Loco, right? I mean, oh man, he sends me howling, and I love his personality is so he just always has your ear in the right way. Caprice does.
Right.
And he also had so much value from the wrestler perspective. And it just lets Ian Riccaboni hold down his side of the fort so perfectly. Like we say it every week, but it shows up every week. Like
they're good.
They're so good. And in weeks like this, where it's just a sampler platter of matches mostly, like invaluable how great those two are. I got to see Ian at I got to go to Dynamite yesterday.
Oh, how was that?
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. The Ric Flair moment was a little mixed, not gonna lie. Like there was a huge pop for it initially, and then it felt like the whole audience kind of remembered what he did at once.
Then
like
they're like, Ric Flair, then they're like, oh, Ric Flair.
Oh my god, Ric Flair's here. Oh, Ric Flair's here. You could feel the energy change. And everybody wanted, like, Sting seemed so happy, but it definitely was like a little bit of a I don't know if I've ever felt a live crowd energy flip like that quickly. Plus Swerve is out here breaking into people's houses. It was a lot. It was a lot, but it was
Okada.
Okada and Danielson at the end. The Rampage that you guys are going to see on Friday was fantastic. Live crowds are always fun. Philly crowds are always insane. So when you get like the excitement of a live AEW crowd, plus like add Philly intensity on top of it, plus the Phillies just lost the NLCS on top of that, they were like fired up, ready to go. We had some fun. It was a lot of fun.
Looked like fun. Y'all was a rocking crowd for sure.
Yeah, it was very loud in there. And got to see Will briefly, the birthday boy today.
And it didn't on TV. It didn't sound like they piped any crowd noise in either.
No, we didn't all just start cheering and then stop at the same time. There was no conductor in the crowd. So it was good live authentic.
Let's
crowd
pause
reaction.
these boos right here.
Everybody's gonna call us homers anyway because we're doing an ROH show, but
yeah,
like the fact that people are like, no, it's loud as hell when you go live. I'm like, they can pipe it into the arena, right?
Yeah.
Like, God grant me the serenity with these people who are like, Sean Rossap has chosen this to lie about, not Cody Rhodes, not CM Punk. He is lying about the piped in crowd. All right. You know what? God bless you. Go in peace to love and serve the Lord. My God. Speaking of, oh my God, Leyla Hirsch, man. Whew. Making short work of Nyx here. I'm not familiar with her. Are you?
Ariel and Nyx?
Yeah, I'm not as familiar. Okay.
She's on the list. She's a very talented wrestler. She was out injured for a while. So it's great to see her back here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, she looks familiar, but I don't remember like seeing her in the zeitgeist. So if she was out for a bit, that's possible. That's very possible. But very, very cool presence about her. She didn't get to showcase a ton here because her job was to get smooshed by Leyla Hirsch. But okay, now that you're saying she was out for a little bit, I was like, I thought I'd seen her, but certainly not of recent. What number was she? Do you know off the top of your head, or do you hate wrestling?
I hate you. Or do you hate wrestling?
There's two options. You know everyone's freaking number, or you hate wrestling.
Can't stand you.
I get that a lot. Got that like 8 times today alone, please. Impervious at this point. No, I love you. We have fun. We have fun over here. I had fun watching this match. We got Leyla Hirsch using the code of honor to pull Nyx for the Saito suplex. Man, I know I say she's little Lady Taz, but she's not little Lady Taz, man.
I mean, every week she keeps being more little Lady Taz, honestly.
A German into the running clothesline. Really good selling from Nyx in this. That cross arm breaker, though, for the win. This was a quick one. She's in her pink gear. We saw Maria Kanellis in a promo, too, talking with her baby boys, as she calls them. Still very uncomfortable to me, but she says, like, hey, Leyla Hirsch, if you need help getting back on track, I could be your girl. So they're continuing with that story, which I really like, because, again, I like when losses have value, and Leyla Hirsch had an important loss. But good stuff here. I just love watching Leyla Hirsch in action, man. I missed her while she was out. I was kind of warming up to who she was, or just getting familiar with who she was about right before she got signed. I was always impressed. She had some great matches with Chris Statlander, I think, on a pay-per-view 0 hour or buy-in. But great to see her back in action consistently. I think she's just fantastic.
Yeah, I like the story that they told with Maria of her kind of being different than she has been before, of being like, maybe I will listen to you, Maria. I might have been going a little crazy earlier. Maybe I will take your advice. And it's kind of playing into, now I understand what they are doing with those, I was going to say the Ass Boys, but they're not the Ass Boys, Garrison and Cole Karter, and why they're kind of involved with this, because it plays along to the Leyla Hirsch story more, which is really good. I think like, this is going to continue her ascension up. She's already had the match with Athena and everybody loved it, but this is going to make her even more of a contender, having some adversity, as they say, little backstory going up there.
It is true. Thankfully, we get more than just adversity. Shame Monster calling you out. See, I like this. Okay. Did you make the list or not, Red? I think the next step of ridiculous internet behavior about lists is now list truthers.
Yes.
Like, you hired someone.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Somebody ghost wrote the list. I just put my name at the end.
And they're definitely white for sure.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That's the only way.
You wanted all of the fun that comes with making the list, but you didn't want to do any of the work. See, a ghost lister.
Ghost lister.
Who are you gonna call, Reg?
That might be a job for me. Yeah, you need somebody to get behind your list. Like,
there you go. Yeah, you can do it under wrongchus Reg or something. We'll find it. We're gonna move on to Lee Moriarty.
Come on. Wrongchus.
Listen. I wasn't proud of it, but I said it. Okay. We're gonna get back on track.
We're gonna get right back in there.
We're gonna pretend that never happened. I'm not proud I said it. We're
letting it breathe too. We're letting it breathe.
Because I can't deny it.
Letting it breathe. It's still breathing.
It hurts. It still hurts too. It's not like, when you hurt yourself and you let it breathe and you're like, oh, initial pain, and then it gets better. No, it's actually getting worse. So.
More pain.
No. Speaking of pain, Lee Moriarty and Darius Martin here. Moriarty locking in the Border City stretch for the win, holding on to that stretch after the match as Shane Taylor's taunting Darius Martin. Action Andretti comes in with a chair to run them off. I know you're so excited that the Light Skin Coalition is still intact here.
My boys are back, baby. No, the real story here is what they're telling with Shane Taylor Promotions. Lee Moriarty, they're playing into the things that people have always said about Lee Moriarty. They're like, you're great. You're one of the best technical wrestlers. You just need more aggression. You need more of this. You need some more of this. And I think that's what's going on here. Shane Taylor being his cheerleader of sorts, of being like, yeah, there's about to be more of that too. This is just the beginning. Is great. I'm loving this story that they're telling here.
Again, they kind of teased Lee Johnson, right? Last week?
Yeah, right.
So I think
2 weeks. Recently.
Yeah, recently, within the past 2 weeks for sure. But I like slow burning building the stable. I feel like a lot of times it's like stable reveal. I like Shane Taylor maybe taking his time and scouting out people.
Right.
Like, he knows he wants Lee, obviously, right? That it's like, all right, who's next? Because it also doesn't tell me there are 3 people in this stable, or there are 5 people in this stable. If you slow burn it, you can develop some more interesting stories that way. And you can also, as they're kind of earning their way in, it's a good way to get people some wins without it being so like, this person has wins, they're headed toward the title. It's like, no, they're just on a roll, and I want that guy in my group. I mean, I'm a New Japan fan, so that's kind of like everything. But it's Shane Taylor's the right guy for that kind of story too, to be calculated and picking that stuff out. So some good stuff with that. I like it. We'll probably get a tag program out of it. I don't hate that. Especially with the belts aren't around, you got to have something for tag teams to do.
And we still got this Shane Taylor and Keith Lee match looming over the top of it or something. So I don't know.
We do. That'll be interesting to see where Keith Lee enters back into the picture, because he's been start and stop a little bit. I know there's been some injury issues in there, or at least some non-medical clearances and stuff. So I would love to see that guy get on a roll, because when he's on a roll, he's on a roll. So
yep.
we move on to our third women's match of the night. I gotta say, it's so nice to, and I'm gonna stop saying it because it should just be this way. But
it's the norm in Ring of Honor.
It's the norm. It's not self-congratulatory. You're just getting awesome women's wrestling. That being said, no Trish Adora, no Lady Frost. Like, this was definitely kind of an off-kilter week. Remembering that Battle of the Belts was in the picture, that makes a little bit more sense here. Still would love something for the Renegades to do as a duo, but Rachel Ellering defeating Robyn Renegade here. Another nice job by commentary to put over her dad's legacy and connecting the tissues about how he was one of the strongest athletes to ever be in a ring. She kind of carries that piece of it forward. She gets the rolling elbow before the Boss Woman Slam, which is really fun. Rachel Ellering looked good in her appearances here. Nice to see some fresh blood in here. We saw the Hex in here. We're seeing Rachel Ellering, some Impact alum, some NWA alum here. Good stuff. Not necessarily the most impactful or meaningful win, but I'm always clamoring for more women's wrestling. I'm not going to complain when they finally give it to me, right?
Yeah, them bringing in more strong veteran style, they've been to the dance type of wrestlers like Rachel Ellering and the Hex, like you were saying. I think it's just great for the division. They're trying to close these things with Billie Starkz and Athena and Mercedes and Diamante. But when this wraps up, they're going to have a bunch of fresh new faces that are right there ready to be contenders for whoever the champion is coming out of all this story. And Rachel Ellering is very strong. I saw her wrestle in West Coast Pro very recently. She's been on some all women's focused wrestling shows recently, having very strong showing. So it's great to see her here.
And to your point, it's fun because we're getting some real ass kickers on the show. Like,
more than anything.
Because we, assuming at some point eventually we are going to lose Athena to the main roster, right? That leaves the biggest hole in your program, man or woman. I mean, that has been the thing that we've had to cling to week over week. So when she goes away and her aggression and that type of heel goes away, you want to have people to be able to fill in those pieces. To your point, you got like fresh-faced Billie Starkz out there. You've got baby Tecker Leyla out there. I don't want to call her baby. That sounds more condescending, but she's tiny. And you have ass kickers like the Hex. Like we have Rachel Ellering here, Mercedes and Diamante. Very cool to see. Very cool to see.
Strong.
We are already at our main event because this was just kind of a quiet little episode. So if you have any final chats that you want to get in, and we'll talk a little bit more generalized as well to close us out here. But the Gates of Agony, as you said, a weird choice for a main event, but the Gates of Agony defeating Cole Karter and Griff Garrison. I said out loud, main event Cole Karter, like laughing to myself about, I was like, I got to say that to Reg on air.
Real funny. Good one.
And the Iron Savages bringing the sauce as always, but
yes,
Kaun getting the double main event spine buster on Karter for the win here. This one was a little bit odd. I liked when we went off air, they said they were the story. And I'm like, okay, that makes me feel like they probably have something that is lined up for them, that these wins are going somewhere, that these wins are going somewhere. However, do. I don't like Cole Karter as much as you do. Not my favorite. But they seem like they should be, they've been getting a little bit 50-50. So if the story is that Maria is helping them or harming them, like, we have to help Griff Garrison make heads or tails on that sooner than later, because that's going to wear out its welcome. The Iron Savages are great. They're a little bit more evergreen. I think they could take some losses. But also, this is the problem of not having tag titles around, Reg. Like, we don't know if they're important or not as a tag team. I assume they are, because they've been heavily profiled and they've been on AEW a few times. But this would be more fun if it had stakes behind it. Now, the match itself was pretty good. And I don't have a problem with Gates of Agony winning, especially if it's headed somewhere. But it's impossible to know where that's headed because the ROH tag title holders are MJF. So, what does that mean? Your thoughts on our main event here?
There is a story being told here, so it's one. Things will make a lot more sense very soon. But yeah, it looks interesting and weird the way that it's kind of laid out here. Like, I see what they're trying to do with the Gates of Agony. They're involved in Swerve and Hangman, and they're involved in a hot angle. So like, they should be showcased over here. It's just been weird because they've been a trio, they've been tag team, they've been in these weird positions. So we don't really know what we are establishing them as ourselves. So we're caught in that little position. But the story will be told. It just very slowly. That's all I could say.
We are burning slowly. We are burning like a melted candle, which is what Ric Flair looks like. Okay.
Hey,
so
rough one.
My friend called him a melted candle. I was like, oh my God, he looks like a melted candle. That's exactly what he looks like. But here's my deal. Okay. Where's Stu Grayson? We said it last week. We said it the week before. You got one more week, ROH, until I put you on Stu watch. Okay. Because you didn't re-sign this guy who's great to have him have this awesome story and then get just thrown aside. So, assuming
and
he's
the
medically
Righteous
cleared, and the Righteous, they at least had their vignette last week.
Okay.
But yeah, let's get these guys back on the. Where is he in that story? I'm on Stu watch starting next week. So you gotta get him on my screen. He's not injured because he's been wrestling the Indies.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, Stu watch. I'm gonna make a graphic. I'm gonna be insufferable about it. Not as bad as Rochus Reg, but I will be insufferable about it.
Sick world we live in these days.
It is a sick world. It is a sick world, but we have fun here. We have fun.
We do.
Decent enough episode, completely filler.
I didn't even think we would get to 46 minutes with this episode, honestly. So, good for them.
Why do you think we got spread as thin as Rochus Reg? I'm trying to fill some time here, man. I'm not.
Let's laugh about this a little bit more.
It's not my A material, all right? But we got to fill some time.
They're doing filler. We're doing filler.
It
can't be like this.
You know how hard it is to review a filler show?
Yeah, right.
Man,
like, I don't.
Whew.
Like, let's be real serious about this, you guys. It's a task. You know what I mean?
Working.
Just like a match that's just a match. Like, what'd you think about just this match? Oh, it was fine.
Good. Oh, they're great in ring. That's all I got. But
that's all I got.
Hopefully back on track this week. Battle of the Belts definitely threw a wrench in the gears, I'm sure. But even so, I will say I do appreciate that this was an hour and 20 minutes. They at least trimmed it down. And we still, the meat of the episode, all of the Athena stuff I thought was great. Like all of the Athena Billie stuff from match to story. Excellent. So still something.
And we are going to start the build to Final Battle, which is good. We got some kind of, that's going to start adding stakes to things. We'll start probably having a tournament. We'll start establishing who's going to be at this show. So hopefully that aids in this.
Are you going to be at that show?
I'm not going to Texas, Kate.
Yeah, no.
Like Hammerstein, I was like,
demographic to go to Texas.
Yeah, like when Hammerstein was rumored, like the little light bulb in my head was like, yo, that'd be
like,
dope.
I'm going to the East Coast. Yeah.
Yeah. And like in December's going to be cold, might be kind of cool. New Year's, all kind of stuff. And then they said, psych, Texas. And I was like, all right.
Like, hard pass, actually.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm okay,
I,
brother.
too, will not be going out there. Because it's far and expensive and I like my rights, etc., etc. So
boom, 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 and boom.
Double Colt Cabana in here. Boom, 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 boom. We love it. I think we'll just wrap it up. We kind of already previewed a little bit of where we think things might be going for Final Battle. This is my second stream of the day already, so my throat is killing me. So I lied before when I said we were just going to vamp for 12 minutes. We're going to get out of here early. No Impact post show for those of you who are tuning in around now to see that because they had a clip show. But Reg, where can the good people find you?
You can find me every Thursday here on Ring of Honor reviewing filler episodes with Kate. It's the best. Every other Thursday I'm on with Philip Lindsay doing Ask Rhapsody. That wasn't today, but you can catch us next Thursday. Every Wednesday night I'm on with Denise on the AEW Dynamite post show, and also on with Mike on Indeed earlier in the day. And of course, every Saturday you can catch me with Philip Lindsay, Grapsody Podcast. It's 9 a.m. for me. It's noon for everybody else. It's all other kind of times for other people that live across the country and across the world. Appreciate y'all for that. But yeah, that's where you can find me. And of course, we talked about a little bit. The BW500 is out. My DMs have finally slowed down. No more wrestlers are yelling at me in my DMs, at least for now. Things could change.
Oh, you support black wrestling? Name every black wrestler.
name 500 black wrestling matches if he could do the wrestlers.
Right now. Yeah. That's awesome. And also get some sick merch, right? At grapsity.bigcartel.com.
That is the site. Go get you a Grapsity hat or a Grapsity shirt. Look like I did on our 100th episode, and look like I will when my hat eventually shows up.
The hats are so sick looking, as are the shirts. I'm a sucker for a good ball cap looking deal. Guys, you can catch me at Miss Kate Fabe on Twitter, all over Fightful. You can catch me on the main channel Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. You can catch me at the Mark Order on Wednesday and Fightful Select on Mondays. I've also started doing my own content on my own YouTube channel at Miss Kate Fabe. So you can check out my weekly review show. That's going to be tomorrow this week. It's just called
Bad Dude Tito. You just interviewed him. Shout out to that.
I did. So I decided I'm going to try and keep this as a series going. The first one was so much fun. Bad Dude Tito was so awesome. I was like, I don't want to do regular prediction shows because everyone's doing those. I was like, I'm going to have Bad Dude Tito come on and just tell me who the baddest dude in each match is, or dudette in some cases. And we talked about his appearance at SoFi Stadium and the San Diego Pro Wrestling Academy. Go support that. But he really committed to the bit, which is what it takes. Like, he was really thinking about like who the better dude in each match was. I think I'm going to keep that going. Like,
well, I mean, I don't know if everyone's going to come. I don't know if everyone's going to commit. That's the thing.
That's the thing. You got to pick the right ones. So I think the next one will be, will Zicky Dice tell me who's more outlandish? Because that guy will commit to the bet.
1000%.
Yeah, like he'll take over the bet. I won't even have to do anything. I'll just click buttons and he'll take over. But Tito was so great to me. Please go support him, Bad Dude Tito, on Twitter and the San Diego Pro Wrestling Academy. Doing great work out there. Had a monster 2023. We talked all about it. The appearance at SoFi Stadium was so cool. He told me all about how they needed like a military engineer to get the design to get the ring out onto the field in record time. Like, it was crazy. Wow. So head over to at Miss Kate Fabe on my YouTube, but more importantly, support Tito and the work he's doing. What a cool dude. And he really dove into my extremely silly idea. So much appreciation to him, but subscribe to Fightful Select as well on our way out of here. This is like the shortest show I've probably ever done because I talked so much. There was not a lot to talk about today.
Listen, Kate, all we ever do is talk on these podcasts. They could take a short one from us. I talk for 3 hours every Saturday. Look,
I'm not trying to bridge the gap to Joel and Cresta either. We don't have to, there's no filler here. We might have had a filler episode, but we're going to call it here. Exactly. Thank you so much. Have a great and wonderful wrestling weekend. We're out of here.
Peace.